Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Capricorn for January 2019. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about booking a reading with me and having my insights for your year and all kinds of other things that we can look at. Definitely, if you love how I teach astrology, you resonate with that, you may want to join my astrology apprenticeship program, which is, depending on when you're watching this, could be registering right now. So go to anniehelpsyou.com. I would love to have you aboard. So what is going on this month? We've got birthdays, very exciting. We're going to go into more details about that. We've got 2 eclipses. This will definitely feel like a new year. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a new year because depending on what transits are going on at the beginning of the year, we can have kind of slowness, but that's not happening this year. This year is a brand new clean slate on every level. We've got 2 eclipses coming in, making major changes. And of course, one of those eclipses is in your sign. So this is continuing a new eclipse cycle in the Capricorn Cancer polarity. I went into more details about that in the December report, which I definitely see as a sister report for you to listen to, as a companion to this report, because I cover one of the eclipses in that one and then the other one in this one. So we've got 3 supermoons at the beginning of the year, the first quarter, that are all starting at their first degree of their sign. These are all indicating new chapters, so tons of new chapters opening up. Lots of changes. Sometimes some of them could be sudden changes and dramatic changes. So the format where I've been looking at or showing you the visuals for the early, middle, and late degree placement charts has been working so well. Everyone's been telling me that they love it. So I'm going to transition into the visuals so that you can see the things that are in store for Capricorn for this month and this new year. Hello, Capricorn friends. Okay, if you're still with me, that means you are interested in seeing the visuals for the charts. Okay, so the first thing we need to differentiate in order to go in more depth is whether you're an early, middle, or late degree placement. So we will say the December born are early. This is an estimate, okay, because there are certain factors that could shift this slightly, but for the most part, early caps are you guys in December. And that's also 0 to 9 degrees if you know the degree, or if you're watching for your rising or moon. Middle degree placements, you will be like around the 1st through 10th or so of January, or 10 through 19 degrees if you're watching for your rising moon or you know your sun degree. And late degree placements, you are around January 11th on, or 20 to 29 degrees if you know your sun degree, or if you're watching for your rising or moon. Now, if you didn't catch that, then please rewind it and go back. My assistant and I are trying to answer all of the questions in the post, but it would take a lot of work off of us if you could go back and figure out if you're early, middle, or late from the differentiation here rather than asking. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is birthdays. Okay, so we talked about the fact that it's your birthday, and yay, but I want to show you what that looks like on the chart, okay? So birthdays are a magical time when the sun, which represents what we want, I'm using the early chart just for explaining, but do know that this is, this is true for anyone at their birthday time. Okay, so early degree placements, you would have actually had your solar return in December already. But just to show you what's happening. So from our perspective, the sun is moving around. Of course, we know the sun is not really moving around us. We're moving around the sun. But from the chart's perspective, it's moving around the circle. Okay, so it takes a year to get around its orbit. When the sun gets back to the same point in the chart that it was when you were born, whatever degree you were born at, that creates the solar return, and that is a magical portal that opens up for wishes, because the sun in the chart represents desire, the things that you want. So when the sun is energized by coming back to itself, that's what opens the portal for your desires. That's what birthday wishes are based on. So now you can see that. So you want to say your wishes out loud, write them down, and feel them as if they have come true already, because those are some of the guidelines for being a manifesting powerhouse. You can also search for Annie Botticelli making wishes come true to find my video about using astrological power periods for changing your life in positive ways. Okay, so I'm excited to show this, this chart version of what goes on in the time before the sun comes to make either the crossover to your ascendant, if you're watching for your rising, or the crossover to your moon, or the crossover to your sun, which is the solar return. Okay, so when that happens, it opens up a new clean slate. And we've talked about a lot of energy of general clean slate for all the signs, but birthday time has its own level of clean slateness that goes on. So in the time before the sun gets back to the point that it was at when you were born, or the point where it crosses your ascendant or moon point, it is touring through the 12th house. So you can see the middle degree placements, you're about to have your birthdays, so it's just about to cross over for you. You late degree placements, you have a little while before the sun gets to this, rebirth crossover point. So in the weeks before the sun gets into the first house, which is this rebirth energy, it's in the 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of fears, the dark space in your subconscious mind. So often we feel uncomfortable in the weeks before our birthday, and we attribute that to be because we're getting older and we're getting reflective and, thinking about the things we have done and haven't done. And that's part of it. But from the astrological perspective, the sun lights up like a big spotlight in our subconscious mind, that deep abyss of fears and worries and, transgenerational genetic unresolved issues. So that's why often in the time before our birthday, we start to have some fears, some things that we don't want to come up, so that we can prepare for the wish time and the new time. Okay, so, and you can see how this is staggered. That's one of the most important things I want you to see about these charts, is that early degree placements, you have the sun move in the first house first, and then the middle degree, you have it move next, and then the late degree, you have it move last, which is why I bothered differentiating, because it changes timelines for astrological transits and experiences depending on where your placement is. Okay, so my main focus for this month, now that we've talked about the birthdays and the 12th house accentuation, is the Leo eclipse. This is the final eclipse in the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle that started the beginning of 2017, goes to the beginning of 2019. So anytime we have an eclipse cycle, any point during these years, anything eclipse related can happen as far as the storylines that the eclipses have for you. However, it's at the hot spots, at the actual times of the eclipses, that news and information and very notable changes generally occur. And that's where we're at now. So it got really hot in December, and now this month we're having the eclipses. So January 21st, we have the last one in the Leo eclipse cycle. Ending this eclipse cycle, it's at almost 1 degree of Leo. I'm going to show you in the charts where that's going to be for you. But first I want to talk about what's happening here. Okay, so everybody has been having these changes and opportunities in the Leo Aquarius spectrum, which has to do with your creative pursuits, your personal passions and interests versus the things that are greater for the group, and I'll call it people pleasing. Okay, so people pleasing versus your truth is really this universal story for all signs that have been going on for the last couple of years. Now for Capricorn placements, I'll show you the houses that are accentuated by that, but I also just want to refer back to when this was last happening, which is between 2008 and 2009. So between 2017 and 2019, we're having the eclipse cycle that occurred in these years, between 2008 and 2009. So you can think back to that time and think, see what kind of changes, what kind of things were up, and going on for you. And that there may be some similar thing, like things you did then, you may be building upon them now. Things that you did then, you may pick up again now. You may be doing them at a different level, but there's a relationship between those years. Okay, so now let's look in the chart to see where this is happening for you. So in general, lunar eclipses bring drama, Sometimes they're happy tears of fulfillment and accomplishment and triumph. And sometimes they're stressful tears of endings that we don't want or other dramatic things. And sometimes it's a blend in between. So all early, middle, and late degree placements are actually going to feature this lunar eclipse in the same house, which is going to be the 7th house. Okay, so early, you have it kind of over there towards the end, closer to the 8th house, but still in the 7th. You've got middle degree placements. It's happening a little bit earlier there, but still in the 7th. And then your late degree placements, even for you, it's in the 7th house. So it does often happen, and it did happen for the eclipse last, the January 5th eclipse that we talked about in December. Definitely, if you haven't watched my December report, check that out, because I talk about where the 15-degree Capricorn eclipse occurs, which is an eclipse in your sign, and I talk about, the beginning of the Cancer and Capricorn eclipse cycle and why that's meaningful for you. So definitely go back to my December report if you haven't already, where we talk about those, because you'll be feeling those this month as well, and sooner even. But new and old and endings and beginnings in the energy of relationships. So this can result in actually just the ending of one relationship and the beginning of another. For some people, it's the ending of one, but the beginning of the other just hasn't happened yet. And for some, it's just a change in a chapter. It's like a book. You just close the chapter on that one, and you have a new chapter. So, but it's very much about your personal relationships, and it's not just the relationships, it's also how you relate in relationships. So the chapter that's starting new can be a new redefinition of yourself in relationship. It could be, clearing up of codependent tendencies, taking better care of yourself within relationships, things like that. So many people in any sign can see changes having to do with children or creative projects, because the energy of Leo relates to children and actually romance. So, there's that component coming from the sign and the house. Could be just business relationships, and it could also have something to do with addictions. Leo can have to do with overindulgences of, things that you'd like to do. It could have to do with the birthing of a creative baby, and the stars are really fantastic for that right now. We've been waiting for a long time. There are especially some dates towards the end of the month that I love for launches. So I'd like to go into the general transits and tell you the dates to watch that I have a little concern about, just to kind of be extra cautious. And I want to talk about the dates I love if you have to do something important, and some other things that will be affecting you. Okay, so let's look into that now. Okay, so now let's talk about the general transits. There are lots of important dates to note, and I'm going to go into the specifics of those now. The theme of the month for all signs is radical new chapters and wide open stars. As I mentioned before, this is truly the energy of a new year. It can be a very clean slate. We've had a year of retrogrades, pretty much focusing on the personal planets retrograde, and this is like a really huge clean slate time. So lots of old patterns, lots of old programming, lots of old ways of being, brilliant new chapters opening. There are so many reasons why there's so much newness. So not only are we free finally from the personal planet retrogrades and their post-shadow periods, as of January 6th, we also have all of the planets, including the outer planets, going direct. So this is a very rare occurrence, and these wide open stars will last until February 18th. So it is important to note, however, that even though we have all this energy from momentum and moving forward, we do actually have quite a few astrological clashes this month. So as far as trying to do important things or move forward, there are definitely going to be clashes and impediments, but still the general energy is just very open, and many things that we've been working on can really manifest at this time in a really huge way. So we talked at length about the eclipses. Besides the fact that the eclipses are happening, bringing in new chapters, ending old chapters, and then also besides the fact that the planets, will be all going direct, also the first 3 full moons of 2019 are all super moons, and they occur at the first degree of their respective sign, which brings even more energy of a clean slate and the instigation of many new experiences and ways of being, opportunities, trajectory changes, and other new beginnings that we have really sought after, or some that arise as a surprise. I often get the question, what is a supermoon? So the supermoon is when the moon is at its closest possible point to, or very, like, notably close. You ever notice those moons where you're like, gosh, the moon looks really big? Like, whoa. Like that. Then that often is because the moon is closer, actually closer to us. That's why it looks bigger. So when this coincides with the full moon, then it's called a supermoon. Okay, so supermoons definitely carry some similar energy to the eclipses in the way that there's more power behind the full moon. So more things coming to fruition and then opening, opening up. Basically things coming to a major climax and new things beginning. So powerful endings, powerful beginnings are definitely a theme that we're having from the eclipses and the supermoons. So I'm going to go into details about transits that I want you to be very aware of. And do note that if you want a written version of the general transit report a month early delivered to your inbox, then go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you'll get this this information in writing and more. So I list all the transits that are most noteworthy, along with some information about what you can expect. So I won't go through all of them in this video, but if you sign up for my free email newsletter, then you'll be able to see access to them. And a lot of people really like that for planning because you can see when the dicey transits are, like right there written in front of you, not just hearing it on the audio. Also, if you are planning travel, check out my monthly travel astrology reports on my site, astrologykisstravelbliss.com. And if you like written horoscopes from me, then go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. Okay, so those all will give you tons more information about the transits, how you can best use the energies. So, like I mentioned before, there are quite a few clashes this month, and there's some energy that I would call very sobering. And this is typical of this time of year when aspects get together in the sign of Capricorn. It's kind of very, it's very realist. It's like kind of sometimes time to pay the piper, after the Sag transits of just kind of freedom loving. Now this is the time to get organized, get your taxes together, figure out the financial aftermath from the holidays, So it can come with some sobering or even challenging news, reality checks, but this energy is also fantastic for trying to drill long-term things in to your reality. So like on the 1st and the 2nd, we've got the Sun getting together with Saturn in this Capricorn. This Capricorn energy is the kind of, I don't want to make it mad, but we'll call it concerned energy, where you're like, okay, we really have to get down to business here. So that energy will last a few days, and then there's a square with Mercury. So on the 3rd, and then also again, we have, let's see, on the 8th, and then again on the 23rd. So January 3rd, January 8th, and January 23rd, we have squares with Mercury. So expect on those days possible impediments to movement, some, minor speed bumps, challenges with communication. Could feel like a mini Mercury retrograde. So whenever Mercury gets together in the form of a square, it can cause those challenges. So it's going to, Mercury still in Sag is going to come and square, let's see, Chiron. Then it's going to come and square Mars. Then it's going to come and square Uranus over the month. Okay, so particularly that one on the 8th and then the one on the 23rd. So 1, 8, 1, 23. Be extra careful with your physical body and with driving. And, these are the kind of transits that I say, really look out as you're texting. I'm hoping that everyone would just stop texting while they're driving or riding a bike or walking in busy areas. But since I know that's not going to happen, I at least can give you the warning that in the days around those days, there are more chances for accidents, verbal communication accidents, and also physical body and vehicle, and with your devices, like dropping in the toilet, things that would impede your communication through something happening to the device. So just be really careful around those days, extra so. And always remember that I give you the dates of the transits, but the days that we can experience the transits are often before or after the actual transit, because all of the transits have these orbs of energy. So like, something happens on this day, sometimes we feel that over here or on the day or some point after, because the range of influence of a transit has an orb, and the orb is dependent upon the planets involved. So, from a day to 4 or 5 days, if we're talking about things with the personal planets, before or after. Okay. That's why I say don't hang your hat too heavily on an exact date. You have to more like tune in to the feeling. If there's going to be a sweet aspect, and there are going to be quite a few, which I'm going to have you note here, then if you're feeling the vibes in the days before, you don't have to wait till the exact day of the aspect. If you want to lock something in or do something important, then definitely follow your personal flow, how you're personally experiencing the transits. Okay, one more challenging date of note, and there are actually more that I'm listing, but again, you can go to anniehelpsyou.com and see more about those details. But on January 13th, we have the first of 3 passes of Jupiter in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. Okay, so let's look at that here. So Jupiter is here. Neptune is here. Now, also a reminder, I know I've talked about this before, but I want to remind you, when we're talking about general transits, these are for everybody. I tack the general transits at the end of the individual reports. So the general transit that you hear for each sign will actually be the same for all signs. I do that for your convenience, so you just listen to it right after your sign-specific report. When we're talking about the general transits, these houses that these aspects are occurring in don't matter. Okay, we're just looking at the relationship between the planets and not the houses. To understand the houses, that's going to be different for each sign. So just kind of ignore, that's why I've scribbled this out over there. All right, so anytime outer planets get together, they're generally talking about a long-term theme. Okay, so this on January 13th is the first of 3 passes, with the second being on June 16th. And then the third and last being on September 21st. And these are all in 2019. Okay, so it's very well indicated to avoid being overly optimistic at this time, and definitely to avoid risk-taking behaviors that may have worked in the past. This is a time when the expansive nature of Jupiter, it just wants to go big, is kind of put into a challenging angle by this energy of disillusionment or confusion or uncertainty or chaos. And I always see these kind of aspects as nice checks and balances that we have from the universe, because we've been on this big expansion spree since Jupiter has gotten into Sagittarius. And we will continue this for most of 2019, where the energy, is in an expansion mode. Even when Jupiter is in retrograde, which isn't yet, but even during that time, there's this story of expansion is really strong, because Jupiter is in the sign that it rules, which is very excessive in that place. So, in the weeks around the 13th, June 16th, June 21st, like these hot spots will last weeks at a time. Just be really careful. Like, it's not always the best time to take risks unless you're intuitively inclined, for sure. The odds are more in favor of disappointment now than triumph. I see a positive way to look at this transit, as it helps to show the limits of the expansion that is occurring, because we can't just keep expanding indefinitely in all areas without having a rest or having a check-in or checking sustainability for the things we've, expanded into. It's very helpful for us to have this okay, let's take a step back and evaluate and prepare for future expansion by seeing, if we can manage what we've already done. So we need to have form and structure. I mean, we need to have structure to be in form. And so the energy, being very upward moving, this is a time when we're kind of like settling into the new norm and taking a break from the frenetic pace of increase. And actually doing that purposely can be a sweet way to avoid lessons from this. Okay, so now let's talk about the juicy stuff. All right, let's get this out of here. I want to talk about my favorite aspects of the month. There are quite a few nice aspects this month, but most of them are coupled with challenging aspects on the same days. So there's kind of like this sweet and salty going on a lot of the month. But towards the end, put a gold star around the 22nd. Okay, on January 22nd, Venus, where are you, buddy? All right, so Venus is going to come and get together with Jupiter. So put like a big star on the days around this. Now, there are some other aspects around those dates that could be manifesting that could have more challenge. But in general, Venus, ruling love and beauty and money and self-esteem, is going to get together with the great expander. So anytime we have a personal planet, especially Venus or Mercury or the Sun, getting together with Jupiter, it usually means like really good news involving money or love, sweet spot, something gelling, money coming in, just something really, really excellent. So I just love, love, love that day. Now, if you have to do something business-wise, like launching something, oh my gosh, I really love this time. And if it happens to be in anything having to do with Sagittarius efforts, even better. So like teaching, learning, speaking, publishing, writing, spiritual pursuits, church-related things, travel, long distance, different countries, different cultures, different languages. There's even more support around those kind of things coming in, news and other things. But you can definitely use it purposely to lock in some good energy. One of those squares I warned you about with Mercury is on the 23rd. So Mercury squaring Uranus. So just, that's going to be happening at the same time. So if things are weird that exact day, don't, just follow your intuition. But I definitely love the energies of this Venus aspect. Now, the two last sweet aspects that are my favorite this month, they're even better in some ways because they're not clouded by another challenging aspect that's kind of stealing some of their thunder. Okay, so let's get that out of there. So on the 25th, we're going to have Mars in Aries trining Jupiter in Sag. Gosh, this little pen is hard to write with. Okay, so Mars, there he is, and Jupiter are going to come together and be in our favorite trine configuration. Okay, and when that happens, that's the sweetest of all astrological aspects. So this is one of my favorite aspects of the month and even the year. Because trines with Jupiter are just awesome. So it's a great day for important things. If your intuition is in agreement and the synchronicities seem to line up, I love this for like launch dates, moving forward, making decisions, and it should be relatively clear from that other aspect that happened on the 23rd, or at least it's diluting. All right, so let's put a sweet spot, sweet gold star there. And then the last aspect is on the last day of the month, that I love, love, love. You can see that the end of the month is kind of more clear in some ways from the general mischief of the month. Also, the eclipses will have happened, so some more clarity might be coming in about those directions. So on January 31st, we have a beautiful Saturn in Cap sextile Neptune in Pisces. Okay, where's our buddies there? Saturn and Neptune. Okay, so sextile is a 60-degree angle, beautiful aspect. And again, like our other aspect that we were talking about with Jupiter squaring Neptune, that's an outer planet challenging aspect. We talked about the implications of that. But this similarly will have 3 passes. Okay, so January 31st is the first pass. The second one is June 18th of 2019, and then the third is November 8th. All right, so on these days, this energy of material gains coming from spiritual focus and pursuits is very strongly brought into the picture. And again, it's like the weeks around this time. So it can also manifest as any beautiful blending of the lesser seen plus the more tangible realms. So this is like a nice bridge time when people who are doing work on the inner planes, doing work with the law of attraction, doing work with, on the levels that are hard to see. Like you could be working really hard and what we call normal people around you, right, who don't understand what you're doing, might say, everything looks the same in your life. And you say, oh, well, I'm really working. Things are really shifting on the inside. These transits are times when things that you've done on the inner realm can really manifest in a big way. They're like really good affirmations and confirmations that you're on the right track and that inner work really does work. So I love ending off the month with that kind of awesomeness. And also if you have to plan something important, that is a super sweet aspect to lock in. When you're doing something important, the day you do it on is like a birthday in many cases, depending on what it is. And then that chart, whatever's going on that day, gets locked into the story of what you're doing. That's why doing things, on good dates can be very helpful to the long-term outcomes of what you're trying to do, because you lock in good energy and then that carries, that goes with it for the whole venture. So if you'd like to have a written version of this every month, a month early, go to anniehelpsyou.com. If you are already on my email newsletter list and you're not receiving my emails, I send them out religiously. So definitely check your spam, social, events folders. And if you find them there, move them into your inbox to give your email the alert, like, hey, I want these in my general inbox, because I'm definitely sending them. So if you're not getting them, then contact my customer service team and definitely first look in those other inboxes. So I hope you love the added effects of the visuals, and definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about booking a private reading with me. I can tell you more about what's coming in the next year from the astrological perspective and all kinds of other things. Also, if you resonate with how I teach and you would love to learn with me, my astrology apprenticeship program is registering now. So definitely check out my website for details about my astrology apprenticeship program. Also, in the beginning of January, my coach certification and online business course will be registering. I have horoscopes and lifestyle blogs, including astrology for wellness blogs, at cozybysweetstarlight.com. And if you're a traveler, check out my astrology travel reports on my website, astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. If you're interested in tarot, you can check out my husband's site. Plus, he also has other information about astrology and some pretty cool offerings. You can check out his website, B.R. Newman, at iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.